YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. We're almost at that 24 hours away point until the NFL draft begins. We're going to be live during day one right here on YouTube, breaking every pick down. So join us for that. This is my final mock draft. I think every year I say this is my final mock, and then I end up doing one on Twitter right before the draft starts if I got time. So make sure you follow that Twitter just in case. Also breaking down every single pick on day 2 and 3 on that Twitter, so make sure you follow that. But really excited about our live stream tomorrow. Really excited about this mock draft. I went a little bold this year. Usually I don't go bold enough because NFL draft is bold. But any link that you're looking for, pinned down in the comments. Take a look at our schedule for the 3-day period here. Thursday, again, live right here on YouTube during the first round. When that is over, so late night video, day 1, winners and losers, kind of re-breaking down some of those picks. Earlier on Friday, I will give a letter grade to every first round pick. I'll do a day 2 mock draft before day 2 begins. A live analysis for every single pick on day 2 on our Twitter at GoatHouseNFL, link down below. And then a late night video again, day 2 winners and losers, breaking all that down. Saturday, pretty much the same thing, but the night ends with the best undrafted free agent signings, which I do every single year. Seems to be a very popular video, so excited about all that. We'll probably add some more in here as well. More content on our Twitter, always adding more on our Twitter, constantly talking, answering questions. So make sure you follow that. I did go a little bold here in this mock, but I like it. I'm liking it. I'm going to break all this down here. Trevor Lawrence going 1, not changing that. Zach Wilson going 2. Not changing that. It's going to be wild Trevor Lawrence is going 1. It's going to be absolutely wild if the Jets don't take Zach Wilson, but we're 99.999% sure he's going there. I'm sticking with Mac Jones and Niners. I've been sticking with it. Do I think they should do that? No, I've kind of been riding with Justin Fields since day 1 on that. A lot of people turning towards Trey Lance. It very well. I'm not guaranteeing anything. It very well could be Trey Lance. I think it's Mac Jones. Shanahan loves his system. The thing he believes in the most is his baby, his system. He wants to get a quarterback that can process everything quickly and read coverages and just find the open receiver and throw the ball to. And that is the positive for Mac Jones and why he fits. The mistake is just not getting the most talented quarterback, perhaps. So I'm sticking with it. That's what I think. Falcons. Not the Falcons. I'm going to say the Falcons made this challenging. I think Kyle Pitts made this challenging because yesterday on NFL Network, he said he believes the top 4 picks will be quarterbacks. And that made this really, really tough here because he got that from someone. He gathered that. His agent gathered that. So it's tough. Maybe that's part of the talk that the Falcons were going to trade back. Somebody was going to come up and get a quarterback. And I think that's kind of died down. I don't think teams want to... I don't think the Falcons want to move that far back if they do trade down, and it's tough to pass on a guy like Kyle Pitts maybe. But I don't think teams really need to go up to 4, so that's the thing there. I think the Falcons may be interested in a quarterback in this class. I think the 49ers might be taking their guy. It could be Mac Jones, I predicted here. And that's why the Niners got ahead of the Falcons too, because the Falcons are going to like a quarterback in this class. They're and within that front office ownership, they're kind of split on if they should take a quarterback or not. Bengals, I'm sticking with Jamar Chase. It very well could be an offensive lineman. It really just depends on, only they know. It really just depends really on Jonah Williams. Do they keep him at tackle? Do they move him to guard? I think they keep him at tackle. They could look for a right tackle because Riley Reif's only a 1-year deal. I think they like the idea of him at right tackle. He's a decent left tackle, could be a better right tackle. I think they view their biggest need as guard. If Kyle Pitts doesn't go 4, if the Falcons don't take Kyle Pitts, the whole thing's blown up because I think the Bengals go Kyle Pitts then. But I'm going Jamar Chase. They need an X receiver. I always talk about they play 3 receivers on the field at once just as much or more than anybody. They proved that last year, and Chase kind of fits all that, has the chemistry with Joe Burrow. Dolphins, I had this a few mocks ago, then I went away from it, started going with the Waddle route because it just sounds like they're really in on Waddle. Almost too much, I have heard teams that people have, teams that have Waddle number 1 receiver, so it could be the Dolphins. That could be true. It almost makes me want to say maybe it's Devontae Smith, who maybe their guy is just because it shows how they're telling us how in they are on Jalen Waddle. But I'm sitting here and thinking, and I had Slater at one point, and we've heard like a month ago that there's teams that have Slater number 1 tackle, and he could go first out of the tackles because those teams. I think the Dolphins could be one of them. They could take Sewell. Again, they could take Waddle. They could take Devontae Smith. This is a really challenging one here with the Dolphins, but I went back to Slater. I think that, I don't think the Flowers trade changes their plan, but they could, because they planned on trading Flowers for some time, we're figuring out. So I think their plan was kind of offensive line from, when they decided they needed to trade Flowers. I heard at some point a couple months ago, credible source, that they may switch their blocking scheme to get going, maybe an outside zone scheme. Flowers doesn't really fit that. All of a sudden they trade Flowers. Robert Hunt fits that more as a guard. They're talking about moving him to guard. I'm kind of putting these pieces together. Slater's a fantastic outside zone blocker, and he played right tackle before. So that could be the pick there. And we're starting to hear the Dolphins could move back. Maybe they view it for a guy like that because they know they can get him perhaps, but we'll see. It's a very challenging one to predict there with the Dolphins. The Chargers, I think their guy is Penei Sewell. I also think the Panthers guy could be, I think, the best fit for the Panthers, Penei Sewell. So the Chargers trade up with the Lions and make this deal. I've had this quite a few times, and we'll take a look at the trade details here. Something similar that we always have, second-round pick. I think the second-round pick's almost enough value, but the value goes up every year, so maybe throw the Lions a fifth or a sixth-round pick there. We'll see if this goes down. It seems like a likely one. It's hard to say any trade is likely, but they go up and grab their tackle. So I think the offensive linemen here go maybe a little earlier than some people are mocking, based on this. And the Patriots trade up with the Panthers. I kind of have a plan for the Panthers here in my mind, just stuck in there. So here's the plan for the Patriots. They trade up with the Panthers. Obviously, they take Justin Fields. They're rumored to be on Justin Fields. It almost makes you say, maybe they're not in on Justin Fields, somebody else, but I feel like Justin Fields is their guy. Lance does seem like a fit. I just don't know if he's polished enough for them yet. They may just rather ride it out with Cam this year and figure the situation out next year. I think they believe they can win right now with Justin Fields, which they want to do. Belichick wants to win right now. So they trade up and grab him. I got an interesting trade here. I got a very interesting trade. 8th overall pick and 15th overall pick swapped, of course. I threw J.C. Jackson here. There's some talk about Stephon Gilmore. It could be Stephon Gilmore. I'm thinking more so J.C. Jackson. I brought it up a long time ago when he got tendered. That almost feels like the Patriots want somebody to sign him to get the pick. They almost want the pick for him. That didn't happen, but they could be looking to move him. I think he could be traded within this draft. I'm not saying this specifically. It would be pretty wild if this happened, honestly, but it's just something to look out for. So there's some swap of picks. The Panthers do pick up a second. They got to give the Patriots back a fourth, though, because they are getting J.C. Jackson. I think he fits what the Panthers are trying to do. The Patriots ran a lot of man, but they had J.C. playing off. I think he can play, that cover 3 concept, so the cover 3 scheme over there with the Carolina Panthers. So that would actually make sense to me. Maybe it's Gilmore. The compensation will definitely be different here, but definitely went a little bold with that one. But I think the main thing to focus on, the actual mock, I think it's realistic the Patriots come up here at 8 and the Panthers definitely can move back. But I'm not done with the Panthers yet. But it would be fun to see Justin Fields on the Patriots. That'd be very exciting. But we're moving to the next group, and I got some things happening here. Big things. We'll get to the Panthers one second. Broncos, so tough because just recently, earlier today, a couple hours ago, they traded for Teddy Bridgewater. And right away, I'm saying they're not getting a quarterback now. Then I see the details. They're only paying Teddy Bridgewater $3 million. They're only trading a 6th-round pick. Bridgewater's a bridge quarterback. You can't write them off for quarterback if the right one falls. I think Lance is the best fit for them, actually. So I think they could be Lance type of team. They just don't know right now if he's going to be there, because the 49ers very well could take Trey Lance. Who knows? The draft is very unpredictable, but I think they would like him, and this would kind of mean it's over for Drew Lock. I think it's a possibility. I had a hard time with this one because they may be done with the quarterback. They may trade back. I think they could trade back. Either way, I'm kind of confident in the scenario that Trey Lance goes 9. So I'm kind of focusing on Lance in pick 9. It could be the Broncos or that team that trades up, maybe Washington. I just don't know if any team wants to, maybe Chicago. I just don't know if any team wants to trade back that far, even if it's the Broncos. But maybe. I haven't heard the Broncos are against trading back that far. So focus on pick 9 and Trey Lance if indeed Mac Jones goes 3 there. Could blow things up quickly. Cowboys is a tough one too because all offseason it's Surtain, it's Horn, it's Surtain, it's Horn. Part of me is just thinking here Jerry Jones picking, talking about maybe taking the best defensive player in the draft. I've heard that a million times, that replayed a million times in my head. I think most people's best player in the draft is Micah Parsons, so part of me was thinking that they might take Micah Parsons. Sean Lee retired too. They love them some linebackers. Van Der Esch, no guarantee staying healthy. Jalen Smith. I had Micah Parsons here for the Cowboys, but they just need cornerbacks so bad, and there's some very, very talented one. I've also heard that there's teams that have these corners, Horn and Surtain, as the top defensive players, so they may have that. And in deciding between the two, everything points towards Surtain right now. Everything right now. It's almost too good to be true at this point, pairing him with Trevon Diggs. Something interesting I saw Jerry Jones said was kind of complaining about 40 times, not getting everyone running on different turf, not getting the accurate combine numbers, they're not the accurate 40s. And then totally separate, a comment on Patrick Surtain's 40 time was faster than expected. Can't really base everything on 40 times, but since he was complaining about the 40 times and not getting an accurate reading, and then Surtain was faster than, really they expected based on what they saw on film, the edge might go for the guy with more speed here in J.C. Horn. I'm kind of putting some things together here. We'll see if I'm thinking too much or not. Panthers. So the Panthers traded back to 15. I had them trading up. Now, it might seem unrealistic or a long shot for that to happen. I think it's possible. I mean, we've seen the Dolphins already do it in an unrealistic time of the offseason. Panthers. I could see them doing it, trading back, kind of getting some good pieces out of it, and then trading back up for their guy. I have this feeling, even if they stay put at 8, I got this feeling all of a sudden yesterday I was talking about yesterday. I think I tweeted, Panthers might make a surprising pick. It's just a gut feeling. I haven't heard anything on it. Devontae Smith and the Panthers. I don't know. Could be wrong. I kind of feel it right now. Robbie Anderson got one more year left. DJ Moore, he's balling out as well. They're going to have him probably for a long time. They could bring back Robbie Anderson. They brought in David Moore. It's a sneaky signing, but they ran their 3 receivers with Curtis Samuel a ton. Devontae Smith is kind of like that Justin Jefferson for Joe Brady, that similar style receiver that he had that really can do it all. He really can do it all. Robbie Anderson strictly an outside. DJ Moore can do it all as well. It's going to be a dynamic offense. They want Sam Darnold to be as good as he can be. I would not be shocked if they found a way to get a guy like Devontae Smith. I feel like he's their number 1 receiver in the class. If they want him that bad, though, maybe they stay put at 8. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be against it at all. I would love this for the Panthers. To the trade details. With the Giants looking to move back. They recoup a 3rd-round pick here. Or they gain a 3rd-round pick, I should say, here. Just for moving back a little bit. They think they're targeting a need, perhaps. Kind of went bold with them as well. Eagles go Jalen Waddle, back and forth. Waddle, Surtain. It's a tough one there. What my decision was, I just don't think Waddle gets by this point. He can go as early as 6. I could be wrong with that. Waddle could go 6. We've heard some teams have him number 1 receiver in the class. I'm surprised by that, but it sounds like it's legit. I just don't know which teams. So the Eagles, it's tough too, because the Eagles are probably going to do something surprising. You just can't predict it, and that's where this whole thing blows up. Lions traded back. I had them getting Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is my number 1 defensive player in the draft. I just don't see him going further in this. He can go top 10. Remember I was saying I was kind of feeling the Cowboys. I'm going to be slapping myself in the head if the Cowboys end up taking Micah Parsons, because I had that with this rough draft here. But the Lions, I think, would like to have him, just too good to pass. They traded back and got some picks. The Vikings, battle between Elijah Vera Tucker and Christian Darsaw. I would almost prefer Christian Darsaw. Not that Elijah Vera Tucker at all is a bad pick. Would be a good pick. Some medical information coming up on Darsaw that he's not, he had a minor injury. He's good to go now, but it's out there. So maybe he drops a little bit. He should go. He feels like a top 10 player to me. A hell of a 2020 tape. So I look out for him. Vera Tucker, I think the Vikings grab. I guess the question is, do they play him at tackle or guard? That's the big question. I think they can play him at either. I like him a little better at guard, but all offseason I'm going to be wondering where they're going to play him. So I had the Giants trading back. I think they're targeting a certain player they know they can move back for. This could be a number of guys. All week I've been talking about Azeez Ojulari. It very well could be Azeez Ojulari. But now it comes out that teams are seriously worried about his knee, past knee injury, but how his knees are going to hold up just by medical checks. It's a big question mark right now. So it sounds like Azeez Ojulari, who is rising up to this range, maybe, target for the Giants, could be falling a little bit because the potential future. He's healthy right now, though, so that's why he can't really plummet, out of the draft. Some people are bringing up Kwity Paye. I'm not buying that. I don't know. I think he can play in a 3-4, which the Giants run. I just don't think a team's going to be in love. A 3-4 team's going to be in love with him around this range. So that left me with Jamin Davis, who I've been talking with, about along with Azeez Ojulari for the Giants, and Christian Barmore's name has come up. Gettleman loves his defensive lineman. I guess if they move Dexter Lawrence played more of a nose tackle at Clemson, but he's been pretty interchangeable with Dalvin Tomlinson, pretty good. But if they kind of put him strictly at nose, they did sign Danny Shelton though, and they put Barmore at more of the D tackle while Leonard Williams is D end on that 3-man front. Then it would make sense. I think this makes more sense. I think they got a hole in the inside line. They play 2 inside linebackers. Keep in mind, Blake Martinez is carrying a load. He's nothing that special anyways, but he's a starter. They only signed him to a 3-year deal last year, 2-year deal, potential out after this year. It's all kind of coming to me. Jamin Davis is soaring up boards. He's the only true inside linebacker in this class. Micah Parsons probably can play that. I shouldn't say in the class. I should say out of any potential first-round picks, even the second. All that going together just feels like Jamin Davis is kind of a Gettleman guy here for the Giants. This does seem a little early for him, but it's a possibility. Cardinals, I had a rough draft with them trading up, thinking of the idea of them taking mainly corner was first in my head, but one of those receivers as well, perhaps. But I ended up having him stay put. Patrick Surtain fell a little bit. Again, you can swap Surtain in the horn spot to the Cowboys, possibility. I said you could put Parsons there as well. But he ends up slipping through. I just keep hearing the Cardinals love Zaven Collins. I just keep hearing it. And the people that say it are just insisting. Like, it almost feels like it was they tried to keep it quiet, but it's been a long time and they love Zaven Collins. I wouldn't agree with that pick at 16. I know the fans would be livid, but it's kind of sticking in my mind. Even though I'm almost prepared for it, I'd still be surprised. If Surtain wasn't here, let's say I didn't have Jamin Davis going that early, somehow Surtain was popped up a little higher. He was the guy that dropped. Obviously, they wouldn't have taken him. I probably would have had Zaven Collins here for the Cardinals just because it's kind of a mystery at that point without Surtain, and they just been linked to him. So it's very interesting, to say the least. Next group of picks here. The Raiders, I was kind of tinkering with the idea of having them trade back. I like the idea of getting a safety. Them getting a safety, I should say, moving back. Well, I don't really love the idea, honestly. I don't dislike it, but it just sounds like it's something that the Raiders would do. I think they're interested in those safeties. Darsaw slipped through. Darsaw should not be lasting this long. I guess he has some sort of injury concern. It's not major. So he could slip here. I just don't think they pass on him. I think they can move him to right tackle. The kid's a stud. He's a stud. So then the Raiders take him. The offensive line looking better than ever then. The Dolphins, I had taken Rashawn Slater. This could all be blown up if they just go receiver with that first pick. I would love this draft for them. Rashawn Slater and Elijah Moore would absolutely love it. That makes him so much better. Elijah Moore, it sounds like he's going in this range. Looks like the NFL is on the same page I was with Elijah Moore. So I do like that range. Washington grabs their tackle. Washington, Chicago, they could look to trade up for a quarterback. It's hard to say the teams that would want us to trade down this far. But the Broncos at pick 9 is something to look out for. If a quarterback, one of those 5 quarterbacks, gets past the Broncos stay put, don't take that quarterback, or the Patriots can't get all the way up, quarterback's going to start falling. You look out for these teams then. They are going to move up and get one of those, that guy that slides. They are going to. If he gets by, if the 5th guy gets by that point, maybe you got to find, the Giants. If a quarterback gets to the 11th pick, that's good for the Bears, actually, because are the Giants going to help out Washington? So that might help out the Bears. Washington gets Tevin Jenkins. The only thing with this is, they may have to move him to left tackle. I think this is their best bet here, though. Just really like that one need. They could use a quarterback, obviously, but they can win with what they got at quarterback. It's a really good roster, really good defense. Bears go Rashad Bateman. They were trying to add a guy like Kenny Golladay, pair a big-time receiver that has some length. Bateman maybe not as much, but do-it-all type receiver. Pair him with Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney. I would love that trio. So it's a possibility. I do really think, they may want to trade up for a quarterback, but I do really think they want to tackle as well. I think they really want to move on from Charles Leno, save that money, or upgrade from the right tackle of Fetty, who they kind of just gave an insurance deal to almost. So tackle is a possibility. In this scenario, tackle would be a huge reach, though. With Tevin Jenkins off the board, it'd be a huge rate. I would probably prefer them to take Bateman over Jenkins anyways. Bears offensive line started to pick it up later in the year. Colts go Jalen Phillips, my number 1 pass rusher in the class, number 10 on the board. This would be huge for the Colts. Huge. They need an edge rusher pretty bad. Phillips could drop because of medical concerns, but it's not like you're wondering if he needs surgery or if he's going to break this bone or tear this. He had concussions quite a while ago. Miami let him play. NFL concussions happen all the time. Guys play. I'm not too worried. He should go earlier in this, but could slide. Colts grab him. Zaven Collins has been linked to some weird teams like the Cardinals, the Titans, a few other teams. The Dolphins. I like the fit with the Dolphins, actually. I just didn't have him going that early. Some better value things I think teams would do differently in this scenario. So I had him going to the Titans. It's not really their biggest need, but they'll use them in different spots there. I think, Vrabel will like this guy, but it almost feels like a future pick, which Titans could contend now with a right now pick. So that'd be the argument against it. It feels like they really, really need a receiver, but they run 2 receivers a lot, and they do have A.J. Brown and Josh Reynolds. So maybe they don't think they need a receiver as much as we think they need a receiver. Some talk about Caleb Farley, but now there's talk that he can really drop because the injury seems very serious. So I don't know. Collins has got to go to one of these surprising teams. I had him landing with the Titans, but again, watch out for the Cardinals. Watch out for the Dolphins. Jets, Azeez Ojulari. At one point, I said this is a perfect fit, and I kept mocking that. And then all of a sudden, I said I don't think he's going to be there. But now the injury concerns come up. I don't really view it that major at all. It's knee concerns. That sounds major, but he just played a full season. It's been some time since he hurt his knee. They're just worried about the long run. Maybe he's only 20 years old to me, so I don't know. I still don't think he gets by this point. It's a really good fit. There's a couple other pass rushers that are similar to him. If Zaven Collins drops through. Joe Tryon, perhaps. I had the Bills trading up. There's some rumors the Bills want a running back. I'm not buying it. I think this team's an edge rusher that can get to the quarterback away from maybe winning a title. So they go up and get Kwity Paye. It sounds like Kwity Paye could go earlier in this. It's hard to find a spot. Maybe the Colts, maybe we swap Jalen Phillips, Kwity Paye. Phillips is just easily the number 1 pass rusher in the class for me, so I think he's got to go first. But with the Steelers, I think the Steelers could trade back because they have some needs, and what they're targeting here feels like they could trade back. It'd be tough seeing the Steelers trade with the Bills, though. Both link at the same time, I should say, because both link to a running back there, so that's interesting. But usually when teams call each other, they kind of give them who they're going to pick because it doesn't really affect them too much just to get the deal done. Bills get 24th pick. Steelers get 30th. Pretty good value here, but for the Bills dying to do it, this piece away from winning a title, perhaps they give up that third to the Steelers, and the Steelers kind of fill that extra need there, perhaps. And they take Kwity Paye, so they get a plug and play starter there for them. And I think he'd probably be their best pass rusher. I think he would be their best pass rusher day one. Next group of picks. Jags taking Gregory Rousseau. I haven't heard anything on this. I used this in what I would do mock, and it kind of grew on me. You also hear Urban Meyer talking about the defensive line. I think they run more of a 4-3 and 3-4, and I think they plug in Rousseau at the 3-4 end spot where I think he can be deadly. You do want to put a little more strength on him, which I think time will give you that. Jaguars upside team, so they can do that. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is the toughest player to mock in this entire class because he feels like he only fits specific teams, but then you hear about other teams that you wouldn't think would have him as a fit are finding ways to make him a fit because he's just such a fantastic ball player. This would be an A+ pick for the Browns, but I had it happening anyways here. He's just all over the field. It'd be fantastic. Went a little bold here with the Ravens. Trevon Merrick, safety from TCU. Hearing he could go as high as the Raiders pick. I think they would prefer to trade back. Hearing him linked to Washington, but I like what they got going there. That might be smoke. The Raven, I just think he really fits the Raven. The more I'm thinking about it, I think he really fits the Ravens because this guy, split time between slot, strong, free. Ravens will use him in all those spots. Really, they will find the best way to use him in all those spots. And it did really feel like they were missing Earl Thomas last year. And I think they get pretty good value here. So I think they grab him in this scenario. Saints, this is an interesting one as well. Christian Barmore, who we had around this range for most of the offseason, all of a sudden I started moving him up because we kept hearing from credible sources that teams have top 15 grades on him. He's going to go a lot earlier. Does that mean that doesn't guarantee? Because the teams that have the top 15 grade on him, what if they have a higher grade on somebody else and they take that somebody else? He ends up falling. But it did sound like he was going much earlier in this. Now I'm hearing some things that he's not super coachable. He doesn't really work well. I don't know how true that is, but we've heard that all of a sudden. It kind of sounds like that BS that comes out a day before the draft, so it's probably not super accurate, but I do think it's possible he's here. I think it's possible he goes in the top 16 picks. Maybe he could go around the Cardinals pick. The Giants could trade back and get him. The Saints, it came out today that they may want to trade up for a corner. Specifically, it was thrown out to Caleb Farley. So they could trade up. I don't think they would be that specific, though. They could trade up, and I'm thinking maybe it's a different corner. Maybe it's Greg Newsome they're trading up for. So rough draft. I didn't end up finding a way to have them trade up. I think it'd be in their best interest to stay put. They know that. Again, they could trade up. They could trade back. Anything can happen. So rough draft. I had Greg Newsome here because I'm thinking I don't know if it's Farley, because why would they say it? And the Farley injury news just keeps coming out. It sounds pretty bad. Could still go first round. Then I'm thinking, maybe if it's not even the same position, and I'm realizing the Saints kind of let go of two of their interior guys, that being Rankins and Brown this offseason. And the Saints consistently stop the run at a high level every single year. They value it super high. They got a hole in there. Onyemata is a fantastic, underrated ball player, but adding Barmore with you, I think that's a good duo there. Maybe the Saints, just a gut feeling, maybe they're in on a guy like this, because they value that super high. I think he fits. So it's kind of a gut feeling one here. So we'll see what they do. I'm very intrigued about them. So then I had the Packers taking Greg Newsome, the corner from Northwestern, to pair with Jair Alexander. I think it's a pretty good fit. Thought about, it's just tough to mock Caleb Farley right now with the injury, so thought about that. Also, keep hearing one of the Georgia corners or both could sneak in the first round. I just keep hearing it. So I really thought about Campbell or Stokes here for the Packers. They could take Asante Samuel. If we're just talking corners alone, they could go receiver. They could go line. I mean, they can go a number of routes. They're a surprising team usually. End up going Newsome here. The Steelers traded back for me, obviously, and I had them taking Najee Harris. They keep getting linked to running backs. Najee Harris and even Javonte Williams, who's my guy of the draft. It just sounds like Najee is almost a lock to go first round at this point. He's really the only running back that is a lock from people. That it's not guaranteed, though. People are saying a lock. I'm not going to guarantee it, but because it sounds that way, and the Steelers are linked to a running back, and I think they should trade back if that's the case. I think that's realistic here. So they pick up a pick with that. Ravens take Joe Tryon. So they don't take a receiver in the first round. They've been linked to Julio. If they want, June 2nd comes along, they want to trade future picks for Julio. If they don't draft a receiver because of that, they better have it locked in, agreed to, that they're getting Julio. So it would be bad if they passed some receivers and didn't end up with that. But either way, this is how the board fell. It's a big question. Do the Ravens want to let their slot receivers, whatever receivers develop, and they rather take the safety and edge rusher or whatever it is best available at that point? That's a possibility. I really thought if I had Gregory Rousseau drop to them, maybe they'd take him. He would fit 3-4-N, kind of a Calais Campbell type, because Campbell's not going to be around forever, and they value defensive line very high as well. They take Joe Tryon. I think he fits the 3-4. I think he specifically fits the Ravens because they like to have their pass rushers drop in coverage when they blitz their inside linebackers. Joe Tryon played kind of a hybrid role at Washington in 2019 where he dropped in coverage sometimes, even though his number one part of his game is being a pass rusher. And the Bucs, Jason Oweh dropped a bit. I could see him going as high as the Giants if they trade back, maybe the Vikings at 14, because this guy's got crazy upside. Maybe the freakiest edge rusher of all time in terms of the draft prospects. Ridiculous. But he ends up sliding through just because the other good pass rushers, and the Buccaneers grab him here. That'd be fantastic for them. Have him learn with JPP and Shaq Barrett. It would be unbelievable in my opinion. The Buccaneers could trade as well. That's a team. A lot of these teams could trade. The Packers could trade back. I've heard up too, but we'll see. Second round here. Kadarius Toney slid through. A couple weeks ago we heard Kadarius Toney is soaring up boards. Now I'm hearing he's falling down boards. Character concerns, off the field issues. I don't know what to believe anymore. But 33 pick, one pick away from first round. We're in a realistic range here. The Jaguars take him, get their true slot receiver. Urban Meyer looking for his Percy Harvin type. He just happens to be from Florida. Caleb Farley slides through because you hear about the injury concerns. Some teams think he's going to need more surgeries. Well, that's at the end from what I heard. And the last injury we heard the other day that was just from lifting weights. That's a little scary. Didn't play at all this year. Had past knee injuries. It's scary. Upside of being the best cornerback in the class, perhaps it's scary. The Jets need O-line, but man, they need a corner pretty badly as well. I think he perfectly fits Salah's scheme. take the chance here. Falcons get their running back and Javonte Williams, who's my guy of the draft here. That would be fantastic for an Arthur Smith scheme. Dolphins take Travis Etienne, so they get their running back. Eagles was thinking about Stokes, was thinking about Samuel, Tyson Campbell. Went with Stokes, probably the better of the fit. So they grab their corner here. I would rather them go the receiver route in this scenario, not no matter what. And then corner. I love the day 2 corners here, so I would like that. Leatherwood for the Bengals. I'm kind of banking on them moving him to guard. I would really like Leatherwood at guard. Panthers get their left tackle here. They passed on that in the first, but it's okay. They get it right here. They get Cosme. So I'm talking about the Broncos taking Rashawn Slater if he drops through to them in the first. I wish I mentioned that a little earlier, but they could take him because they're kind of looking for that right tackle of the future, maybe even right now. Juwan James, not reliable enough. Mayfield could play that right tackle spot, so that could be the option there. Lions grab the receiver and Terrace Marshall. Some past injuries. I talked about that in position rankings. He had a couple of past injuries and nobody was really talking about it. Now it's being brought up. So this could be his range. Could go late first as well. Very talented. So Lions grab their receiver here. Ronnie Perkins. So the Giants get their inside and outside linebacker. Outside being the pass rusher. They're locked and loaded, looking like a complete roster. Ronnie Perkins, I loved his tape. This would be a good pick for the Giants. Asante Samuel Jr., the 49ers, so they get their corner. Cowboys just doubling up on the DB, so they get Javon Holland, their safety now, to get in there. And that secondary is looking new and improved, really. Jags go Landon Dickerson. It's a good situation where maybe they sit him the first year because he did have that injury. He does have major injury concern because he's had past multiple injuries, but he's so good, so talented. But the Jags offense line set for right now, but they're going to have Norwell's probably done after this year. There's been some talk about how long until they need a center as well. Linder, when is he going to be out? That's some minor talk. But also Cam Robinson, who's their left tackle. So Dickerson's got the versatility to play any position. I'd say they might set him for a year or maybe plug him in at some point if they're feeling good about him. And then he's the long-term, possibly left guard, most likely, I should say, for them. Panthers grab the Patriots pick. I am taking Richie Grant. They could use another safety that's pretty versatile, can move around a bit. I've been hearing about him actually potentially going late first. I don't see that at all, but since it's been brought up, you would think he's probably got to go into second. So the Panthers grab him, and they're really loading up. At this point. Lions, been some talk about them taking a corner. I don't think it's a must, but since it's kind of there's some buzz out there. Tyson Campbell, some buzz on him going late first. I do love his upside. The Lions feel like an upside team, a potential, somewhat of a rebuild team. Campbell would make sense there. Raiders take Levi Onwuzurike. Some talk about them taking a D tackle in round 1. They grab a pretty solid one here in round 2 that also could sneak maybe late first. I'd prefer him early second, perhaps. Next group of picks here. Cardinals, I'm talking about them getting a receiver round 1. They grab one here in Rondale Moore. They kind of need that shifty slot receiver, in my opinion, so they grab that. Dolphins get their pass rusher. Peyton Turner, love his game. Just some past injuries. Otherwise, if there wasn't for the past injuries, probably could sneak into late 1. He's very talented, lengthy, high motor. Him and Ronnie Perkins are the motor guys of the draft here for the edge rush position. So the Dolphins get their guy Peyton Turner here. And that'd be fantastic for them. He could go earlier in this. Washington gets their quarterback in Kellen Mond. I keep saying this every time. He could go a lot earlier. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't really be against if he goes late first. It's just really tough to figure out which team is going to trade up and do that. If that's the case, it's tough. Some of these teams I almost feel like they can wait because really no one in front of them is really scaring them that much. It's just the teams that may trade up, hop over them that are scaring them. So they go that route. Thought about quarterback for the Bears, but I think it's almost go big or go home. They got Andy Dalton, Nagy, and Pace on a short leash. So, it's go big or go home, I feel like. Mond would be pretty big in my opinion. But Verdunce is getting some buzz. Some thought that he can play either tackle position or guard. I think the Bears could use him at tackle, obviously. Titans go De'Ami Brown, UNC's receiver. I wouldn't be against somebody taking him late first. I love his game. The Titans grab the receiver here with 53. Colts get their left tackle, Liam Eichenberg. I think this should be his range, and I think it will be here. And the Colts grab the guy, possibly a plug and play. Quinn Miners for the Steelers there, the Wisconsin Whitewater kid, dominated the Senior Bowl in his workout pro day. So the Steelers grab their plug and play center or guard. I think you can play either one. So they got their running back. They got their interior guy there. Seahawks go Calvin Joseph. Thought about other corners like Aaron Robinson, Melifonwu. It could be either one, any of those. Carlos Basham's possibility. Whole Alden Smith situation. Went Joseph there. There's a lot of upside. He could potentially sneak late one, seeing how good the draft class is. Rams needed an inside linebacker. It felt like last year, even when they had the best defense in football, in my opinion. So they grab one here. Bolton falls a little bit. Chiefs get another pass rusher that fits opposite of Frank Clark. They get Basham. Another guy who knows could sneak in late first. Milton Williams to the Browns could play inside and outside. That kind of helps the Browns both ways. I have the Saints grabbing their corner here. Take a Fatu Melifonwu, who's I've heard things that he could go late first as well. So, I mean, who knows there? He's just a freak dude, big body, knows how to use his athleticism, his traits. So the Saints grab him. I like Aaron Robinson for the Bills, kind of a Tre'Davious White type guy. I think he actually has some upside outside, even though he played both inside and out. But I think the Bills would like him outside. The Packers grab their center and Creed Humphrey. Only thing is, no receiver at this point for the Packers, but that's kind of a Packers move. Remember, they do have Devin Funchess coming in. Shouldn't be a whole bunch of expectations there, but maybe they feel they're set like they were last year. And the Chiefs taking Pete Werner. Another guy, just random buzz about Pete Werner potentially, going way earlier than everyone, the media, the fans think. Even earlier than this, I don't really see it. Chiefs lost Damian Wilson. Didn't seem like they were thrilled about Willie Gay last year. He could step up, but either way, they can use a linebacker. And they'll like the versatility, athleticism, coverage ability of Pete Werner here. And the Bucs go Davis Mills. Could be a guy like Kyle Trask as well. It's tough squeezing. It's really tough. That's always the hardest thing for me. What prospects, the day two quarterbacks, and every year there's guys that we just are convinced they're day two quarterbacks, and they end up being like fifth round quarterbacks, or day three quarterbacks. Look at Eason and Fromm last year. I wasn't convinced about Fromm at all, but you get my point. It happens every single year, so who knows there. We could add a third round of this on our Twitter. I do things like that every year on our Twitter. There's content I won't be able to get to, which players are going to go earlier than you think, that I'll probably end up tweeting out because we're running out of time here. But and I said this is my final mock, but I'll probably have a final mock like I do every year, or last minute thoughts on our Twitter. So you definitely should follow that. We'll be live during day one of the NFL draft right here, so turn notifications on, subscribe, follow our Twitter for schedule updates, analysis on every single day 2 and 3 draft pick. Again, link pinned in the comments and description for anything that you need. Please subscribe while you're here. It'll be much appreciated. I'm ready. NFL draft is here. I'm pumped. It's definitely should be one of the craziest drafts ever just because the loaded class at the top and specifically the loaded quarterback class. So can't wait. Hopefully you join us for all the great content. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.